Eating healthy would be so much easier if as soon as you eat a salad, you get a six pack. I'm sure a lot of people would stop eating McDonald's instantly, but it just doesn't work like that. But if I say, you know what, I'll be happy if I just eat less than 2,200 calories today. Let's start there. Then we could work on enforcing a healthier diet and routine and whatnot. Let's just make it a goal to consume less than 2,200 calories today. There's a lot to it, bro. You know, life is not getting any easier as time goes on. I do believe the concept of life is simple, though. Maybe even a little too simple for us to understand, in the sense that we'd like to believe it's more difficult because that makes us feel better about all the time we've wasted. If we can convince ourselves that life is extremely hard, which it is, but if we can convince ourselves that life is extremely hard, we will feel better about all the time we've wasted and how little we've accomplished in a certain period of time. In in the perspective of what you actually want to accomplish, not just random goals. Because I think in my life I've done a lot. I've done a lot, and to the outsiders, to people looking in, they would agree. Some of them would agree, some of them wouldn't. But as far as the vision that I have for my life and the things I want to do in the next 5 to 10 years, um, I'm a little behind in that sense. Not that it's a race, but I do believe I could be further, which I'm not gonna sit here and cry about. Everything happens for a reason, but I'm glad I learned each of these lessons when I do, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be the man I am today. And even in being, if I do say I'm behind, even in being so, I still find a way to smile and be super positive and just know that my time is coming the moment I decide that I want it bad enough. And I can say I want it bad enough, but to say it and to show it is two completely different things. And it's hard to do, but we run into obstacles so often, and that's okay because sometimes things need to be put on pause. There's times when I've been uploading every single day, and there's times where I take a month or two off. Sometimes different things need focus. One of my main focuses recently is finding a good job, a job that I was happy with, that I know I could be with for a long time and be happy with where I'm at. Regardless of how long the career that I want takes to take off, I would be happy at this job. That was my goal. One of my goals was to be at a job that I can stay at and be happy where I was at, and still put in the effort I put in with my career goals, my life goals, my personal goals. But God forbid they took longer than I would like, or not God forbid, but if they were to take longer than I would like them to, I would still be happy with the lifestyle that I'm living. I'll still be able to provide for myself and my family. I'll still be able to enjoy life the way that I want to. And that would be okay with me, because I could still look and say I am trying every single day. That is what's more important to me. So that's been one of my main goals. So it kind of took focus away from other stuff, and that's okay sometimes. Don't pressure yourself too much, because everybody has a different life path. Everybody has a different mission for their life. Some people just want to go to school. When I say just, don't take that offensive. Some people just want to go to school, work enough to pay their way, and get into a career of their choice. And in that sense, your life may look something like work a part-time job, maybe even full-time, study on your free time, and then go to your classes. I don't know what college looks like. I've never been, but I would assume it's something like that. That's different than a schedule for someone who wants to be an entrepreneur, who wants to build a business from scratch. The lifestyle is not going to look the same. You're both going to have your different ups and downs. One that you may think is easy, I may not. One that I might think is easy, you may not. We're going to have different struggles, different ups and downs, but we are not to look at each other any differently. I should not look at a college student and say, man, you got it easy. All you got to do is study and go to college. That's only a percentage of what I have to do. Whatever. Same the other way around. But man, all you gotta do is just this, and that. I gotta study for hours and hours every day, take constant exams, do 40 hours of clinical. There's different struggles for each person. Let's not do the compare game because we have our own path, our own journey, and we should be happy with the journey that we're on. I do feel like sometimes that the journey that I've chosen, the life path that I've chosen, is very difficult. And it has raised and shown and proved to be very difficult time and time again. However, I believe that it's possible. I believe it's attainable. And I believe that each time I fall on my butt, it's making me just as strong as I need to be to make it even further. You understand? And that's kind of how I want you to look at it. Everything is preparing you for more. I'm still young. I got a life of, God willing, I have a lot of life to live ahead of me. I'm 19 years old, and like I said, God willing, I have a lot more life to live. And if that's the case, then this is such a small portion of what is to be discovered of me. What I have done so far is only in preparation. I have spent the last 2 years just preparing myself to be the man I need to be to live the life I want to live. And it may take 3 more years of preparation. And preparation will never end. It may take 5, 6 years before I even start seeing the results of the preparation. But you know what? Regardless, I get to see those results someday. I could be 23 years old before I start seeing my life materialize. And I'll be so happy that the work that I put in now, the work I put in at 18, the work I put in at 17, none of it went to waste. And I start to think to myself that it hasn't even been that long since I've changed. And I sorry to make this about myself for a minute, but I just want to reflect. It hasn't been long since I've changed in a person. I'm still changing, and there's still a lot of things I need to change. But if you go back and compare to who I was at 17, who I was at 16, I have to be proud of the drastic difference of who I am as a person, the kind of principles that I hold. To my core, there's still a lot of things I'm the same in. However, I present myself a lot differently. I'm a different man, I believe. I believe I'm a better man, and I should be impressed looking back that I managed to achieve that in such a short period of time. A lot of people don't change in a short period of time. 3 years, big difference from 16 to 17, 17 to 18, big difference, 18 to 19. 18 years old was a hard time for me, I'll be honest. That year of being 18 years old was really rough for me. Very rough. I went through a lot of things, and even since I turned 19, I've had a rough time. But it's all in preparation. My first 2 years of adulthood in preparation. Maybe I did master being a teenager. Maybe I was ahead of the game as a teenager, but once I stepped into adulthood, I was in a whole new crowd of people that I needed to adjust to. And I believe that God gave me every opportunity He needed to give me to find a way to succeed and find a way to make it through. And I failed Him a few times. I failed Him a lot of times. And God knows that I've done wrong, I've made mistakes, but I pray that He sees that I'm trying every single day. And every day I thank Him for the good. I thank Him for the struggle. I thank Him for everything that I've been through to mold me into the man I am and the man I am to become. I'm very thankful for every opportunity to be a better version of myself. I say this mostly to say that I hope you guys can use that to also change your perspective about things that are happening in your life. Why is the title of this? I'm in a session to record this, and the title is literally nonchalant. It must have been one of the videos I made before. But yeah, change your perspective. Like think of things more positively. You really got to put more positivity in your life. Force it in there if you have to. Force positivity. Because we can't allow negative to win, bro. Negativity is not nearly as powerful as positivity. Negativity will never be able to beat positivity. It's not possible.